Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you guys. Sorry, I was just outside and it was a little windy out there. Hello, Rhonda and Joan, Ruth, Kathy, hello. Happy after Thanksgiving. Hope you guys had lots of things to be thankful for. Okay, here it is. How are you guys? Okay, Ruth. Good to see you. Enjoy your dinner. Hi, Denise. Purple Nan Linda. Hello, hello. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Hi, Peggy. Hi, CJ. Colorado Blue Skies, CJ. Hi, Kel. Gosh, good to see you in the chat, Kel. I haven't seen you forever. How are you? We had an absolutely stellar holiday. Certainly did. So, you guys come on in. We're gonna I was trying to figure out what to do today, and we're going to do something fun. So there you go. Things went a little south a few minutes ago. But that's life. That's life in the fast lane. It is. That's life in the fast lane around here. Anyway, so I'm not quite together, but I'm together enough. Together enough. Let's see, just reading the chat a minute. Rhonda, I don't know if I said hello to you, but hello, Rhonda. Thank you for being here. That would be great. Oh, it's so good to see you guys. Thanks, Rhonda. Rhonda, I have the best mods on the planet. I'll tell you what, I have the best mods. I know everybody says that streams, but really I'm the one that has the best mods. They really do save my booty. You're having a good day today, Kel? I'm so glad. I've enjoyed watching, seeing all the things you're doing on Instagram. You're doing all the beading things, right? Thank you, Rhonda. Jinx has got my back. Hey, Linda. Greetings to you and Tim. All right, I'm going to let you guys chat a minute. I'll be right back. Okay. Let me get a bunch of garp off my table here. I need someone to come and organize me very badly. I have fabric that we've collaged together and made more fabric out of, because that's what you do when you have lots of fabric, you make more fabric. And I have it. I just am not quite sure where it is. So we're going to use what I have, because that's what you do. Okay, so this is a little gift idea that I thought we would do and play around with. Let's see what we come up with, okay? Let's just see what happens. I've done these a bunch of times, but not recently. So let's see what happens. Shoo, hello. Hi, Gray. Shoo, how are you? I haven't seen your name in the chat for a while. I hope you're doing okay. I hope everybody's doing okay. Shoo comes to us all the way from India. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and then we'll play and see what happens, okay? For some reason, my chat is sort of unstable. Are you guys having any of those issues? Anyway, we're here. Let's do something. So, most of you know that I enjoy a good cup of coffee. It does not bother me if it's expensive, especially if somebody else buys it. That's okay with me. And I like having a sleeve on the cup. Good here. Okay. Okay, seems okay there. All right, good deal. And I carry one of these little sleeves in my purse all the time. So let's see if I can show it to you a little bit better. So I carry one of these in my purse all the time, because sometimes even if you have the paper sleeve that comes on any number of cups, they're all different styles, of course, depending on the coffee shop. Sometimes this is just not enough to protect your hand. And because they've got the water really, really screaming hot, which is okay. That's not a big deal. I'd rather have it too hot. There isn't anything worse to me than something that's supposed to be really hot that comes out lukewarm. It's like, blah, you know. Reminds me of a scripture about being spewed out of your mouth because you're a lukewarm believer or something. I'm like, yeah, I know what that, I don't want to be that. Anyway, so I thought what we would do, I've done this before. You always have them double cup. Oh, I do hate it when it gets cold. I just hate it when it's lukewarm. I really do. So I thought we'd play with this. This particular idea I did for a VIP group class, and so we're going to vary it a little bit. But we're going to use the idea, and we're going to play with some other things that I have, okay? The first thing you're going to do with something like this is take a sleeve that you have that fits the kind of cup that you like. Take a sleeve and take it apart. And you're going to have to try it. You're going to have to try it with the fabric that you use. You're going to have to try it yourself. And you're going to have to see if you like the measurements that you end up. Because there was a lady, and I can't remember her name. She was a quilter years ago. And she talked about the ppm. And it had to do with quilting, but it is particularly appropriate and applicable for other things. And ppm stands for personal private measurement. Okay? So personal private measurement means that your sewing machine may vary, your seam allowance may vary, the fabric that you use may vary. So all those variables come into play when you're doing something like this. And so you may need to take an idea, test it out, see if it fits, see if it works the way you want it to, and adjust it. Okay? Hence, this is my, I think these are really cute, actually. These are the current Starbucks sleeves, marrier together, and I love the little zigzag scallopy thing. I think that's really cute. But you take one that you like, and let's see if here's another one of their regular ones. This one is one of their regular ones, and you just kind of have to see what works for you. And you'll notice that mine is a little different. This pattern under here is a little bit different. It's a little deeper, and the angle is a little different because I liked it. So we'll see if that turns out this time the same way. I'm going to use this adjusted pattern. So you just have to adjust a pattern and try it. So, like, don't cut out, don't take one of these and assume that what you're going to do is going to work for, you know, let's say 50 gifts without trying it out. Okay, try it out, make your adjustments, and see if it's going to work. Okay, so here is the one that I just showed you, and so I'm going to put this on my sleeve pattern so you can see that that's what I like. And then I'm going to put the pattern on top of it so you can see that happens to be what I like. But you just need to adjust yours and see how you like it. I also make mine with Velcro on them. Now, if you don't like Velcro, then do something different. But I make it with Velcro because that way it has some leeway for different sizes of coffee cups. Okay? You do need to adjust for fluffiness. Yes, that's right. Adjust for fluffy. All right, so I like the Velcro on it. Now, we'll set this, well, actually, I'm just going to leave this on here. I'll just leave it on here. This one is done using a bunch of collaged fabrics, and somewhere here in the mess that I'm calling my studio at the moment, I have collaged fabric that we have done. Maybe is this it? Nope. And I could not put my hand on it because things got a little crazy a few minutes ago. Anyway, so we're not going to do this. What we are going to do is we're going to take, this is an old, this is called a cutter quilt, okay? This, now some people would have a stroke that I did this to a quilt, but this was a quilt that was given to me that was in the bottom, and it was being used in a dog crate in a vet, and which is lovely for the dogs, but you know, it really still had some life left in it, and so the person, it was actually her husband and had the vet practice, rescued it, gave it to me, 2 of them actually, and gave them to me, and I have done numerous projects with these cutter quilts. And so this one, you can see a cutter quilt is like this. It's coming apart, fabrics are rotting, there are holes various places depending on what the fabric was. And so what I have done on some of these places, like this one, sometimes I have patched them with a new patch, or old fabric, but a different patch in here. And other times I have just come in and stitched the crap out of it, which is what I did on much of this. I just literally put a new backing on it. This is just muslin, and I have stitched the crap out of it. And what that does is stabilizes, sorry. Oh, sorry guys. It stabilizes the fabrics that are falling apart, and it will so you can see the different ways that I've done it. Some of these are sort of Zentangle sort of patterns, but it stabilizes. I'm so sorry, you guys. I haven't been able to get to the mic button to kill it quick enough. Thank you, Rhonda. And so this one has not been stitched, so you can see that, but this patch is still in good shape. This one doesn't have any holes in it. These I have totally stitched in order to just salvage this quilt. Okay, so I can use it for things. It's also a great way to practice your free motion stitching. Thank you, thank you. Hello, Terry. So you can do any number of things. If you have a section, and this is just a section of the bigger quilt, obviously, and this has got stitching on it that mimics this design here, but it's very hard for you to see, and so actually I just sort of ignore that when I'm stitching over it. I just ignore that and just do whatever I feel like doing. Okay? Okay. If you have a quilt like this, and you can sometimes find them in a garage sale or a thrift store, and people don't know the value of things like this. And I mean, I too have donated quilts. When I was helping Elton clean things out, there were quilts that we found that were just ragged pieces of fabric art that somebody spent a lot of time in. And believe me, I toyed a long time of I should keep it, I should not, I should keep it, I should not. My heart is, it squeezes my heart when I have to give something like that up. But it's like, there's only so much I can rescue. It's like dogs and cats. There's only so many I can rescue. I can only rescue so many quilts. I can only rescue so many pieces of fiber art. That's right. You can only keep so much. I'm Peg Robinson. And I feel like if I have rescued something like this and I have given it new life, I feel like I'm very successful with that. Plus, it doesn't cost much but time to make things like this if you want to do that. All right, so this is one option, and you can take the pieces of, if you have sections of the quilt, like this is in pretty good shape here. I've not done any stitching on this. This is the way the quilt, oh, and by the way, let me ask you a question while I'm thinking about it. Is the sound okay today? Because there were some people saying that the sound had issues last Monday. So I'm just going to talk for a minute, and then I want you guys to tell me in the chat if the sound is okay today. And if it's not, I need you to tell me specifically, if possible. Give me some specifics. The sound is okay, but Grace says it's still static. It still has issues. You can still hear it. A little static as well. Okay. All right. Well, if you can put up with it, there's probably not much I'm going to be able to do with it, but I'm glad to know that you're still having it. Hey, CB. Hi, Violet. It buzzes when I speak sometimes. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I'm talking too loudly. I'll try talking a little softer. Do you still hear it when I'm talking more softly? If I'm talking like this, and I've lowered the volume of my sound, is it a little less, do you still hear that kind of whatever it is? Because I'm not talking as loudly now. Maybe I'm over speaking, and maybe I'm getting too excited and just saying too much. Yes, it does it, but not as bad. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to try, but you can still understand me if I speak at this volume level. I'm watching my microphone, the signal, and it shows me that it's okay. Volume makes no difference to your ears. Okay. It's still crackly. Okay. All right. Well, we may have to just put up with it. If it drives you nuts, mute me, and I will try to keep the level of my volume a little quieter. And at some point, Race is going to be here because he's going to be helping me move all the equipment. And so when he gets here, we will work on it then. Okay. Hey, Cheshire Cat, Dar. Still static. Okay. Well, there isn't anything that I personally can do about it, and so let me send Race a message, and he may have a chance to pop on and listen. Let's see. So let me just send him a message and see if he can listen. Okay, so I've sent him a message, and so we'll let him see if he pops on and listens. Otherwise, we're just going to put up with it. Okay? It's very hard to describe the sound. Okay, well, we'll see if he can. All right, let's go back to the quilt project. And as I said, if it drives you nuts, just mute me and then, go from there. All right, so back to the project at hand. So one idea is to use a cutter quilt. I would definitely not take an heirloom quilt that you buy, even if you buy it at a thrift store, even if you buy it at a garage sale. If it is a quilt that is in good condition, meaning it doesn't have holes and rips and tears in it, a lot of holes, rips, and tears, because it's got to have a lot of damage for it to be relegated to the category of cutter quilt. It's not bad enough to mute me. Okay. All right. So what you want to do is, if you find one that you want to cut into, you can either cut into it or you can stitch into it or whatever. Well, let's say you don't have a cutter quilt. And so some other things you can do are use some of your fabric art. So these are some of the fabric art pieces that we've created. And like I said, around here somewhere, if I happen to unearth it before Monday, I'll show it to you, some of the fabric art collaged things that I've stitched, free motion stitched and so forth. They're all here. They're all in one spot, but I don't know where they are. So, and you know what? I honestly hate it when people say that. That used to just drive me crazy when people would say that, because I'm in my judgmental head, I'm thinking, how could you not know where your stuff is? Well, now I understand it. Now I understand it perfectly well. I understand how you don't know where your stuff is, because you got too much stuff and it's not organized, and I'm in too many different places. Okay, so we're going to go back to this. So these are pieces of fabric. This is muslin, and these have been gel printed and doodled on top with the scribble markers or scribble fabric. Yes, fabric paints. Yes, let me show you what in the world I'm talking about. These, like the fabric riders, the slick, tulip slick fabric riders, that kind of thing. Something that has a really fine tip. And then I use that to write and do different things on top of here. Although I'm not sure that they make this exact brand anymore. You can always get, yes, where are those? You can always get the little fine tipped things that I find them in Hobby Lobby, the little containers that have a needle tip on them, and you can put your paint in those, and I usually find them in the model department, so you can do that. Hello, Sharon. So you can use those to do your scribbles and marks, or you can just use a paint pen. You can do any kind of things, any number of things to embellish your jelly plate printed fabrics, or scraped painted fabrics, or stamped painted fabrics. So that's what all these are. They're just different things. And these are bits and pieces, and some of them are pretty and some of them are not. These have nothing on the back at this point. They are just simply painted gel plate printed. And so I'm just showing you the different pieces that I have. I love having pieces of fabric like this in different colorways, so that I can do things like we're just going to do today. And this is a piece of commercially printed fabric. I think this was a Debbie Mum fabric, I believe, from in the, I don't know, 80s, 90s, I don't know. And we gel plate printed on top of this. I love having something to start with before I go straight on to just muslin like this. You have to work pretty hard to get enough layers on that. And if you start with something like this, you have something in the background to begin with, and it gives you little images in the back, which I love. Okay, so you can do things like that. So how about if we cut one from all of this stuff. Let's see, which one shall I use? I kind of like this one. Let's use this one, just because I like it. So let's take one of these, and then let's cut also a piece of this from the cutter quilt part. And maybe, I don't know, we'll decide which section we want here in a second. Let's cut this one first. All right, so I explained to you how I came up with the pattern. And so now I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to kind of audition where is the part that I want. And so I'm going to utilize, because this is a gel printed piece of fabric, hand painted piece of fabric, I'm going to take it from over here as close to the edge as I can get it. Okay? And just to make it super easy for myself, because this is muslin on the back, I'm just going to draw around it with a pencil. I could also use a pen, because this is going to get, even if it's pen, it would get cut off probably, or stitched over, and you're never going to see the pen. Now, if you're using a hand-painted fabric like this, one of the things you got to know is it's not washable. And I am using this as a coffee sleeve, and you know what? It may get some coffee dripped on it, and you know what? That's where I say, it lends character, adds character to it. That's what I happen to say. Now, you can make these as complex as you want, and I'll explain to you the one that's around my cup right now. I will explain what I did on that one. And I'm not going to go into as much detail on this one as I did on the sample. If I could unearth the fabric, the collaged fabric that I've already stitched and carried on, we would have a third example, and maybe if I can find that, we'll do it on Monday. I don't know. No promises, okay? So there's one. And I'm going to pick a batik fabric to put on the back of it, because you need something that's going to line it. See what I'm talking about? coffee stains. If that bothers you, this is not your project. Since this is green, I think that rather than look at all the rest of the choices I brought in here with me, we're just going to use this one. Okay? Yep, coffee dyed. That's right. It's coffee dyed all by its own self. All right, let's see if we've got here. Let's see if this will fit. It will. Okay, excellent. Very good. It's going to fit right there. Okay, and I'm not sure that I have anything that'll show on this, so we're going to just live dangerously and cut it out. So if you came in after I started this, this is using as the basis for this coffee sleeve. It's using the Starbucks, any coffee sleeve, cardboard coffee sleeve will work. And then I adjusted the pattern until I got it to fit the way that I liked it to fit. So it is a little bit bigger than, and a little different shape on the ends than the actual Starbucks sleeve that I started with. So you need to do one or two until you refine the pattern to a place that you like it. Now, if you're trying to do this, so that it's kind of an insulated kind of thing, see the thickness on this, then you're also going to need a piece of batting. And I would not recommend that you use a polyester batting because that isn't going to protect your hand. So I would say use a cotton batting, and so I will go and get that in just a minute. But that way I have a backing fabric and I have my sleeve fabric. Okay? So there you go. Like so. Okay? All right. And then let's take this one, this cutter quilt that I have stitched, and we're going to have to use a part that is stitched because up here this is not stitched, so it's not attached. But these sections where it is stitched, that's all connected together. So we're going to have to use a place that is stitched. Okay? Hello, Ava. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. It's nice to have you here. It's great to have you here, actually. All right, we're going to just take a piece, we're just going to take a section of this. Yep, we're just going to take a section of this. And I'm going to see if I've got a Crayola marker that will work. Mostly so you can see what I'm doing, but also it's because it was the easiest thing for me to get a hold of. Okay, so that's what we've got. Okay, Ray said, he listened and he said every once in a while there's a little pop or zizz sound. Something is a little goofy, but it's bearable. So that's what we're going to deal with. Okay, you guys? So we're going to put up with the pop or the zizz. And then we'll get it figured out at some point. Okay? Hi, Riri. Good to see you guys. Okay, so we're just going to have to put up with it. That's all. All right, here we go. Like I said, if it bothers you too much, just mute me, and then there you go. All right, so I'm going to cut this. So I just used a Crayola marker is all I use because it's what I could put my hand on right this second. And all of these bits on this kind of thing, like a quilt like this little stuff, I will leave those. I'll save those as much as possible. Because you never know when that little thing, that little bit of patchwork attached to something is just like the perfect thing, you know? So if this is hurting your soul or hurting your heart, don't tell me about it. Just, just go watch somebody else. It's okay. It's okay. Because I know there are some people in the fabric world that would just be horrified that I'm doing this, but look, it's not in the bottom of a dog crate at a veterinarian's office anymore, so there is that. Okay? It could be worse. It could be worse. And the reason I thought I would show you these today is because, we're into the gift giving time of year, and something like this is not expensive to do, no matter what you're doing. Even, if you have a piece of fabric that you've printed that you go, oh, it's too ugly for words. Well, I understand that, because that can happen. It's just too ugly to use. I get it. But it's not too ugly to make into something like this. So you take the ugliest thing that you can find in the fabric world. Let's say this is not my favorite piece in the whole planet, I gotta tell you. But if you cut this down into one of these, into a small thing, I can get probably 2 out of this. And if I had to, I could piece pieces together. I could take a section here and maybe a leftover section here, piece it together and get enough out to make that. And it makes a piece of fabric that you're not crazy about usable. Okay? All right. All right, so here you go. That gives us this one and this one, 2 very different looks. So let me run in the other room and get some batting, and I'll be right back. Okay, we'll see if this is a big enough scrap. If not, I have more, of course. And rather than use the fabric to do this, I'm going to use the sleeve. And because this is, it won't be enough, but that's okay. We will make it work. Because I'm going to do this for just a coffee sleeve, I'm not going to care. I'm not going to worry about the grain or the whether this batting has scrim or not, or what have you. Okay, so we got one of those, and I don't think we can get another one out. Not without piecing it, and I'm not going to do that, so we're just going to take a piece from a bigger section of batting. Doesn't make any difference where it is. We're going to take this one right here. Let's see, are you big enough? No, of course not, so we'll go this way. All right, thanks for your patience as I do this. And we'll cut these out. And then we'll sew. And we're going to put something, we're going to stitch these together. A marker is about the only thing I know of that will show up on batting. So you can use a fabric marker, or I'm just using a little Crayola marker. This is cotton batting. It is not cotton polyester. It's not bamboo and whatever. It's just warm and natural cotton batting. It will help with the insulation of your hand when you use it as a coffee sleeve or a hot drink sleeve. We'll call it a hot drink sleeve. I'm sure I won't remember that, but that's what it is. And I don't worry too much about the exact dimensions around there. Just simply, like, I didn't cut it super even there. I don't worry about that just a whole lot, because I'm probably going to have to trim this up after we get it stitched together. Okay, if you have any questions or anything you want to say, put them in the chat in all caps. Otherwise, I have no hope of seeing what you're saying, because the chat moves too much, and also I mostly am rattling and not watching the chat, which is why the moderators are so incredibly helpful. Okay, so there we go. So we have 2 coffee sleeves ready to go. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to take this. I'm going to need one more piece. Let's see, do I need this? This one doesn't really need the batting, so we'll have that for next time. That's okay, because this really is thick enough with the batting in there. If you want to make it thicker, then you add another layer of the batting, and you'll have to add another layer of fabric, but then you have to stitch on top of that to hold this together. I don't want to do that, so we're going to use this one as it is. Then we're going to take this one. We're going to take a piece of the batting I just cut out. We're going to put these together like so. We're going to put this on the back, and in a perfect world, this would be nicely pressed, or you can use a glue stick to temporarily hold it together, or you can just grab some pins if you have some at the ready and use a few pins to hold the layers together. Hello, Joyce Boring. Good to see you in the chat. If I miss saying hello to anyone, I hope that you're doing well. And I hope that if you celebrated Thanksgiving, that it was a good day of food and fun and friends or family or whatever. We drove 130 miles one way to celebrate the holiday yesterday with Elton's daughter and his other daughter and her daughter, so it's his granddaughter, and her boyfriend, fiance, significant other, I'm not sure, was with us. So we had a full group going, and then we had to drive back, and it all worked out fine, and the meal was wonderful, and we had a good time. And then they went outside and played croquet, and it was so cold. Oh, so cold. I said, no, I'll stay in and do dishes. Hello, Barbara Clark. Good to see you. Had to squeeze in a haircut. I understand. Okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get my sewing machine. I will be right back with the sewing machine in my hand. as I promised, sewing machine in my hand. And a foot pedal to attach. Okay. So let us do like so. No pun intended. And we're going to stitch this one. And so we need to have some thread. And I happen to have this thread at the machine, so we're going to use it. Just because that's what I have right here. Remember, when you thread your machine, you thread with the presser foot up. Gotta have the presser foot up when you thread it. Otherwise, the tension, the thread does not go into the tension properly. Okay, always thread with your needle or your presser foot up in the up position. And let's see what's on the back. We have green on the back. Let's see if I have any threads here that'll work. That I have enough on the bobbin. I don't know if there's enough of this one. I have the same green here, but I don't think I want to use the same green. Let's just put this one on the back. I think there might be enough. Nope. Okay. Why are decisions so hard sometimes? Let's see what's... I'm just going to use what's on the machine. In the machine. It's an off-white, and that's okay. We're going to use that. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to lengthen my stitch to a 3.0 needle in the down position, so it's going to stop down when I stop the machine. The needle stops down. I like that to do that. And I am going to start here at one edge, and I'm going to follow the top fabric because that's my regular fabric. So I'm going to follow that. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I might even lengthen it a little bit more to 3.5. Okay, here we go. Let's see how we do. Don't sew over pins. Take your pins out as you go. Okay, definitely do not want to sew over pins. And every so often, because this is on kind of sticky fabric, because it has paint on it, I'm going to release the pressure on the presser foot so that it stops, hopefully, pushing the fabric. In a perfect world, I would have taken a moment and put the walking foot on, but I didn't, so we're going to just go for it. So when you see me raise the presser foot, that's just to release the top fabric, which is trying to bunch up a little bit. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to do the stitching, and I'm going to go back and forth. This is probably not going to be the best thing I've ever done in my whole life, but you guys are going to get the idea. And I'm going to move my needle over as far as I can move it over away from this. So that makes my rows of stitching about 3/8 of an inch away from each other. If you have a Teflon presser foot, when you're working on stitched or painted fabric, that's even better, because what it's wanting to do is to hang up on the paint. Which is what it did right here. And sometimes you can just work it out. You can just work it out with your thumbnail. You can just work it out a little bit. And then check the back and see how it's looking. You know, it's not going to be the best thing in the whole world. It's okay. But, as I said, if you have a Teflon presser foot, even better to use. Okay, let's go this direction. This time. Oops, wrong. You can't do that because I moved the presser foot over. So what you have to do, pull out the mistake and move the needle to the opposite side of the foot. Okay, that way I can keep the rows of stitching accurate, the same distance apart. And the reason that I'm going one way and then stitching back the other way is so that I can spread the fabric. So I can spread the fabric. It's wanting to move all one way or the other, and so I'm kind of spreading that out. Which probably doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. Now I'm going to go the other way, so I'm going to move the needle back so I can come back from the other direction, keeping the rows of stitching about the same distance apart from each other. Some of this paint is definitely stickier than others. So when I run into one of the sections where the paint is sticky, I'm having to assist the fabric in moving through the machine a little bit more. That's one of the joys of working with mixed media pieces, whether it's fabric or paper. Okay, so you can see how it's getting a little bit of texture on the back, hopefully. Then I'm going to go the other way and come from the opposite direction. If you're using just regular fabric, you will have no issues with the machine stitching the layers together. But it's because I'm using hand-painted fabric that it's wanting to hang up on the acrylic paint. Okay, coming back. So we'll probably get a couple more rows of stitching on here, and then that will be it. Again, as I said, don't stitch over pins. So if it's looking like you're going to stitch over a pin, just pull it out a little bit. Or just remove it completely. It's up to you, whatever you need to do. Okay. You also could put a layer of tulle over this, which would give your machine a little bit more relief from the stickiness of the paint under the presser foot. So you could put a layer of tulle on top of this and stitch on top of that. The presser foot then would be riding against the tulle instead of the paint. Okay, good enough. Good enough. All right, so the next step in this process is hi Jamie, I do not read back over the chat. What did you want me to say, Jamie, or want to tell me? You're going to make some drama for this free day? Okay, drama. Sorry, on the meds, too much family time. Oh, too much family time yesterday. Hey, Kasia, good to see you. You don't have to go back to the balcony, Jamie. You know, sometimes too much family is too much family. Yep, sometimes it is. It is so true. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, I'm just gonna trim this up just a little bit. And so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just trimming. I'm evening up the layers according to my painted piece. So I'm just getting rid of that and just sort of evening things up. Okay, so that's what So that's what we got. So I just even things up. This little bit of batting up here is not a big deal. Maybe we'll take off a sketch. Take off just a little bit. Okay. All right. So there's what we have on the back. Okay. All right. Remember, you're just making a coffee sleeve. And every so often, it's good to put your pattern back on the base fabric just to check yourself and see if you're keeping your piece about the way it started. Because sometimes with quilting, it can eat up some of your fabric a little bit. Okay, let's go back here, and I'm going to put my knee lift back on to start with, and then I'm going to, let's try it this way around. Let's see, do I want to do this? I don't know. I don't think it'll work against the feed dogs. Okay, hold on a minute. I'll be right back. Alright, the thing I'm going to put on my machine right now is called a super slider. And it is a Teflon mat, or some sort of, maybe it's silicone, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to put it on. And every once in a while when I use this, I'll explain here in just a second. Theoretically, it will stick to the bed of your machine. And sometimes, most of the time actually, I find that I have to assist it with some tape because it works better. Alright, let's see how this works. See if this helps us out. Let's get my thread through the hole. Alright. Let's see if this works better. You know what? I put it on upside down, so that's part of the problem. Let's try it again. Don't put it on upside down. That doesn't work at all. You need to put it the right way down. That helps it stick to the bed of the machine if you put it the right way down, Barb. You guys, you know, life sometimes is a little cray-cray. And my life is a little cray-cray right now because I'm not quite sure where I live or what I'm doing. Okay, this is the sticky, or the slippery side right here. There's a hole cut out for your needle. Okay, let's see if this works better. I'm going to start in the middle here. And I'm going to go to a zigzag, and this is about fine. Okay, let's get both threads over here. I want to zigzag these layers together. Let's see if the super slider helps this slip through the machine a little bit better. No. Okay. Because I need to have the different presser put on. You guys, I apologize for this. Yeah. You got to have the free motion foot on to do this. Barb is not functioning very well at the moment. Let's put this on. We can do it. We can do it. Yes, we can. All right, let's try again. All right, here we go. There we go. See, once you remember all the pieces and parts, moving parts, it will help. And indeed, it is moving through the machine a little better, not sticking to the bed of the machine. But I am having to move it myself because I've covered up the feed dogs with the super slider. But it works well for free motion stitching. And what I need to do is to get these layers stitched together. That helps immensely when you go to put the trim around the edge. Okay. I think maybe it's good for you guys to see somebody not do everything perfectly and then see how they correct. Okay, and here we come over to where we began. And what I was doing was just simply stitching the edges together. This is not the finished stitch, this is just the stitch that's going to hold the layers together. Okay? Alright, now I'm done with that, so I can take that off the machine. That's the super slider. Indeed. Alright, let's go back to regular foot, regular stitching. And I'm going to stitch the layers together on the cutter quilt piece because I need these to be together also. It just makes it a lot easier to stitch the trim around the edge. If you're going to stitch in mid-air, or you're stitching in a corner, it's not really mid-air, but you're in a corner, it's very hard for the machine to get going when that happens. So if you'll put something behind it, let's use this one, put something behind what you're stitching to cover the feed dogs. It gives the feed dogs something to grip, and it will move that fabric right through the machine. Okay, I'm coming to another corner. I'm going to do it again, cover the feed dogs from the back. And it never stitches this piece to it because you're stitching forward, not backward. Come on now. And we have another corner. So turn the corner again, position your machine, put the other piece over the feed dogs in the back. That works for any time you're going to turn a corner. Whether it's straight stitching, zigzag, whatever, it will work. Covers the feed dogs. Okay, done. So we have these layers stitched together, okay? Okay, so we got that. And if you need to, if you've got, you know, some weird edges or whatever from the cutter quilt, things that are kind of uneven, poking up, you know, because you're asking it to do something that is weird, that it doesn't want to do, you might have to come in and just give it a little haircut here or there. And that's okay. Sometimes that's what you got to do. You gotta give it a little something something. Okay. So next on the agenda is we got to find some sort of trim to put around the edge, and so that's what we're gonna do next. Okay, we're gonna find trim to go around the edge. Just checking my pattern again to make sure that it looks like it's about what I want it to be, and it's not looking too bad on both of them. I haven't done this for a while. I'm sure you can't tell that though. Okay, let me get some trim and we will look through my trims and we'll see if we can find something that will work. to go around the edge of this, just to make it look a little bit better. And what I did on this one that I'm showing you right here, what I did on this one is I used trim that I made from different fibers twisted together. So I made my own trim. We're not going to do that on this. We are going to use something that is ready-made. So let me go get that, and I will be right back. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, let's see if we can find something in this bag of trims. See if we can find something. And I don't want anything that's real big, so we may use this. It's called mouse tail cording. I know, mouse tail. A lot of these I bought. Right here we got this one. This is a nice one. We'll do that one. Okay. Sometimes I just pick the first thing that jumps into my hand because it's better that way. Take your first choice. And let's see how we do with this. So I have this trim right here, and it's just a kind of a braided type trim. And I'm going to use the foot that's on my machine, which is foot number 20. It's the old style Bernina feet. And this has a groove under it, which is going to allow that cord to ride under it. You can use a number of different feet to do this, but we're going to use this one. And I'm going to find the end of it. And we're just going to start at one corner. And we're going to do a zigzag stitch, and I'm going to do it, see how it works, see if I can get it positioned on top of this fabric. And I have not changed the thread color. I'm just going to use the same green on it, because why not? So I'm laying it on top of the fabric, and I'm zigzagging over it. So the zigzag stitching is going to be a part of the design edge. If you didn't want to do that, if you don't want it to be part of it, then you can go to a different color thread. And I'm stitching fairly close together again so that I let that green thread be a part of the trim for the edge. And if it keeps wanting to roll off the edge, you just have to, you have to be a little bit more, you got to be the boss of your stuff. Okay, there we go. Alright, when I get to the corner, I'm going to stop with my needle in the fabric. I'm going to turn it so that I am against, my trim is against the needle. And if you have any trouble getting it to stitch, then you do the trick by putting something behind it over the feed dogs. Stop again at the corner with your needle in the fabric, not out in midair. Turn it so the trim is against the needle. And we're going to do the same thing. And keep stitching. So I'm intending to have the trim on top of the quilted piece. And stitching as we go. And sometimes I like to stitch over the trim a second time with a little denser zigzag stitch so that the thread even becomes even more of the design. Okay, at the corner again. And then when I come down here to the bottom, I'm going to stitch over the two, and I'm going to back up and take it out and look at it and see if I want to give it another round of stitching. If I do, I can. And if not, I will just simply cut the cord and then add a little bit of tacky glue to the ends and call it good. Okay, so I'm going to look at it and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to add one more row of stitching around it. And I'm going to make the zigzag a little bit closer together. So I'm going to do one more row of stitching around here just to make it even more decorative. But now I don't have to fight the trim because it's already stitched in place. Okay, so we're back here where we may be stitching. If it may not want to move forward, let's find out. Nope, it's doing okay, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, same thing, turn the corner. And turn the corner once more. And one last corner. And I'm going to back up just a little bit because I didn't quite get that corner real well. And once I get ready to stop, then I'm going to go to a straight stitch, and I'm just going to stitch in place, and that helps to knot off the thread. Okay, got it. Then if you have any little bits little bits of the quilt showing at the corners, I just clip those off. And wherever my trim started, I will put right here. I'm going to put a little bit of tacky glue right there on the ends and pat those in place, and that will help keep those nice and tidy. Okay, so there is our sleeve, and now we need to put the Velcro on it. So there is our little sleeve. And I like the green because it's got green thread in here. Okay. So now what are we going to do? But we need to pick a piece of Velcro. So we're going to look. This is Velcro that I've had for a while. It is from Amazon. And it's colorful Velcro, and so I think for this one we'll use this kind of lemony limey green yellow color. And so I'm going to look at this one and I'm going to go, since I've already figured it out once, there's no point in figuring out again. And so we're just going to use a piece of Velcro, the length that this is, because that is going to give us, we've already figured it out once, don't need to figure it out again, hopefully. Okay, so that's the loopy side, and this is the hook side. So I'm going to just measure this against the hook side, and this is wider than the original Velcro that I used, and that's what we got. Okay, so on this one I put the loop side on the top of one end, and you'll see it's spliced in here because that's how close I was on Velcro that day. So we're going to put the loop side of the Velcro on the right side of our fabric, our sleeve, and I'm going to see what would happen if I cut this down. Let's see what happens. I can always come back and cut another piece if it doesn't look like it's going to work. And I think that's going to work just fine. Okay, so we're going to do that. So I'm just going to cut it down. So it's not so wide. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch this on, and I just used a straight stitch. I don't know if you can see it, but just a straight stitch to stitch it on. So that's what we're going to do. Straight stitch. Okay. And normally you want to use a heavier needle to stitch on Velcro. I'm not quite sure what needle is in here, but we're going to use whatever's in it and see if it works. If it doesn't, I can always switch to a heavier needle. And I'm going to stitch right at the edge of the Velcro. Just with a straight stitch. Okay, so we have the loop side stitched on. And then the hook side goes on the inside of the other end, so that way it wraps and can hook together. Okay, so this is the hook side, and where did my hook go? Okay, here. All right, so this is going to go on like this. Same thing. So I'm positioning it right in the middle and kind of avoiding the trim. Okay, so I'm avoiding the trim here, just like this. It's nestled inside the trim. Again, using just a straight stitch. The only reason for avoiding the trim is because it's just easier to stitch it if you're not fighting that thickness. And I'm just stitching over my previous stitching a little bit. And that way I don't have to knot it or back stitch. And clip off your threads. And then you should have a sleeve that works like so. All right, let's test it and see if it works. And you have a little bit of leeway, so if you need to tighten it up, you can tighten it up a little bit because your Velcro allows you to have a little bit of leeway. And there's your coffee sleeve or hot chocolate or whatever other drink of choice that you want to insulate your hand. That just helps. And besides that, it's cute. Okay? Besides that, it's just cute. So that's what you do. So there is that little sleeve. So I will finish this one also, and I'll show it to you when I see you back here on Monday. I'll finish this one with a hand-painted fabric. I'll do that one. And we will be back here on Monday night, and if I can find the collage fabric, which is here somewhere in this studio, in this mess, Maybe we'll make a couple more using already collaged fabric, because that's a way to use up your scraps, and you can always go back in the playlist and find the collaged fabrics, because I do that quite a bit just with scraps. It's a great way to use up your scraps. Hello, Dorothy. All right, thanks for being here, everybody. I'm going to take off. I have got a ton of stuff I got to get done. It's good to see you all. Thanks for being here. You can make some of these for gifts. This is from a cutter quilt. This one is from hand painted fabric. This one is from collaged scraps. So you can make those. You can make your trim to go around the edge. You can use a already made trim. Here's another one that I did. I didn't show you this one. Okay, this one is done on the embellisher. So this is this was like the first thing I ever did with a fabric embellisher machine. And so this is like all different kinds of scraps and yarns and threads and stuff like that I made this one with a piece of netting over it. And I actually ran the embellisher on top of the netting, which is not the smartest thing to do, but it was my first attempt at using an embellisher. And then the edge of it has no trim on it. That's a stitch used on the serger. And this has no Velcro on it. I just made a seam here at the edge. So you have no adjustment with this one. So that's why I refined it and added the Velcro, because it's a lot better. Okay. All right, so from there, I'm going to take off, and I will see you guys on Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. I think I'm here. I don't know of any reason I won't be. And until then, as always, remember to get creative today, because, you know, it's easy, and I'll see you before you know it. Okay, bye, everybody.